Hey everyone, it's Jessica, Pretty Prints and Paper. It feels like it's been a while since I've done a video, but I have been waiting and waiting to do this one, and it's an updated version of how I bullet journal for work. I've done a post on this before, but my system is always evolving, so I thought I would do an update. And I know I promised my teaching setup soon, so that will come up next. But today I'm just going to talk about work. I work in the college area, so I'm going to try and adapt some of my stuff for what some other folks do, but keep that in mind as my context as I go forward. When you think about doing the bullet journal for work, first of all, look at the original bullet journal system. Ryder Carroll created that long time ago, I think 2013, and I have adapted it. So you'll see that, but find yourself on that website first, see the basics before you jump into this. When you start a bullet journal for work, think about what your goals are. So it's hard when people are like, oh, what do I do for bullet journaling for my job? And it's hard for me to tell you if I don't know enough about the details of your specific needs. So consider what it is that you need. First, a lot of folks wonder, should I combine my personal and work? This is massively different for folks who are in, say, a medical field because of HIPAA, or folks who are at an office job that are, a whole variety of settings, or sometimes it just doesn't make as much sense, or you can't combine them. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, if it's shift work, it may be easy to combine the two together. I personally combine them both, and you'll see how in a second. The digital versus analog piece, I know that a lot of people struggle with how do I converge digital and analog, and I do both. My work is highly on Google Drive, and so my calendars are online, a lot of our team notes are online, we're very collaborative, so a lot of documents shared back and forth. But I wanted to do something more on paper because a few reasons. I want to be more present to the meetings that I'm in. I cannot help but be tempted by social media and email when I'm in meetings with my computer. So I wanted to have something more tangible. And by writing down my notes and sketching them out in the ways that I do helps me remember things better and makes me look like I'm paying attention, which is great. And then the other reason is that once you take notes on Google Drive, if you're on a team like I am, they just kind of go into the ether, and I have no idea where they go, and sometimes I lose track of the things that I need to be doing. So writing it down on paper helps me stay on task. And what you'll see also is that I split up my personal and work in that all my tasks go in my everyday bullet journal, and that my work notes and project planning goes into my bullet journal that can stay at work if I really needed to. So if you're not familiar, my everyday carry is my bullet journal in my Foxy notebook cover, and I've got 4 notebooks inside, a little bit of division here for me on the go. I've got my rapid log, I've got my everyday planning spread, which you might be familiar with, some ongoing collections, my lists, and then my blog insert. And so all the tasks that I ever have go into my weekly, which goes with me everywhere. I cannot keep tasks in more than one place or I'm bound to lose them. So this is where everything goes that I'm doing, and has an action related to it. Everything else I put in here. I chose this A5 Leuchtturm dotted notebook because the size is similar to what I've been using for my everyday carry, and I like the portability of it. It does suck that paper handouts do not go in here very well, so I end up folding a lot of them in half. If that bothers you, so I'll leave that up to you. I will go through this a little bit, and I'll flip through and try to explain how it is I use this. Most of the time I'm using a Pilot G2 in my notebook, and sometimes you'll see me sketchnoting, and I use some other colored pens as well. I like the Leuchtturm because it has the numbered pages. I get lazy about numbering my pages, so this is nice. I used to have a little baby bullet journal, and it just wasn't enough room for the amount of notes that I wanted to take. So I found myself taking shortcuts with the kinds of notes I was taking, and I wanted to do a little bit more with that. So I upgraded to the A5. Here we go. I actually find myself using the index on this notebook. I usually don't. If you follow me for a while, I usually just ditch that. But for here, I am actually using it. Kim suggested splitting the index down the middle for amount of space, and I totally recommend that. And because a lot of my work revolves around one area, I kind of split it up and have this as my category so that all of them are kind of grouped together in that one section. Hopefully it'll expand the amount of space I have. Messed this up. Some fun fact, I was using this to draw these lines with a ruler, and ballpoint, it kind of collects all the ink on one part of the ballpoint and then sometimes smudges like that. So word to the wise, use a fine liner or go maybe a little slower. I'm not sure, but that messed me up. Flip over. Something that you know about me is that I love getting the bird's eye view of everything and seeing how what the big picture looks like. I'm a very big picture person, and here's where I kind of see my work log. I wear a lot of hats. I hate that phrase. I'm using it anyway. And I like to see where, you know, the peaks and the valleys of my time are. And so I use this time chart where it's got the months along the top. And because I work kind of on the academic school year, I started it in June and then going through the 2 semesters. And I've got my different projects on the side. And then I shaded in using some colored pencil the kind of times that I'm working on that project, because it's not enough for me to list like here's all the things that I'm working on. It's a cycle. So looking at when those times are, and then perhaps when there's busy times or not busy times, I shade in a little bit darker on here. On the bottom, I have this dotted line where I've got other off-cycle projects. So this year we are doing hiring, which is not something that happens every year. So I have one specific line for that, and I can thread whatever page numbers are related to that project on this part of my layout. So I talk about hiring on pages 66 and 72, so I can reference that. Big picture continued, I have my annual goals. I use the stamps from Foxy Fix and colored them in with a more colored pencil. And one of my other favorite pages, Level Up, I wanted to highlight a couple things similar to a gratitude log, but like highlights or things that I'm proud of in regards to my jobs, so that I can remember them for things like annual reviews. I'm always learning in my job, so I have a reading spread. I want to know who suggested it to me, what it is, and then if I ever read it and want to take notes about it, I left room for some page numbers. Also really big on employee or student expectations, so I don't really believe in holding people accountable to things that I have not let them know about. So if you manage someone or you work with a team, it's worth thinking about, wow, these are the things that help me work at my best and things that I expect of other people, and so you can make those more known to other people so that they can work with you better and that there's less disappointment. One of the major things that I love is this page, which is tracking the changes that I want to make on my class. I write curriculum for a lot of classes, and so throughout the year in real time, I like to track some of the changes or tweaks that I'm thinking about for the next iteration. So this can be any kind of cyclical project or process that you have, putting it all down in one place so that you can revisit it all at once later and not trust your brain to remember it later, right? Another class that I helped curriculum write. And then on the bottom, you may have seen Ryder and Kim, Tiny Ray of Sunshine, talk about the threading. So the next time that I talk about this class this is page 14, and the next time I talk about it is on page 34. So it's a nice way to remember, oh, I can go back to it if it gets split up from the rest of it. Explore, I'm always hearing about some fun things I want to look into, whether that's authors or concepts or things that I want to incorporate into my teaching in the future, conferences. Jot that down in my explore. Anyone in education knows there's probably a bunch of other stuff that you should do, that's important to do, but you don't have time to do right now, and so that's on my literal page 3. Notes. See, they're not always very pretty. My handwriting sucks sometimes. As a teacher, I like to keep track of stories that I can tell to illustrate certain concepts in my classes, so I keep a stories tab or page that I can return to that. Notes, more notes. I'm trying to see if I can leave a box open if there's any tasks left on a page, and then color it in when all the tasks on that page are done. The best part about the bullet journal is I can take it with me and I can do some lettering and sketchnoting when I'm at conferences. So this is my week at the conference, and I can do a little sketching. Apparently I was doing some lettering for stuff. And I love being able to just have this open space. That's why I like dotted notebooks, because the lines are too restrictive, but dots give me enough structure to guide me but not restrain me. So I can kind of be more open and stuff like that. The lettering does bleed through a little bit when I use brush pens, but I'm okay with that. More keynote stuff. Then you can see here I did that threading again. I talked about 3,000 last on page 34 and again on page 67. Questions. I love hearing new questions that I can ask students or anybody in my life, so I jot those down as well and attribute it to the person who introduced it to me. You can see I kind of stick more closely to the traditional bullet journal system in this notebook. So for notes, a lot of times, like this is a whole spread, I draw lines down the side so that you can take notes over here, and I can pull out the tasks over on the side and keep them all in one place. That time ladder from Ursula Honey Roses and then Christina Shylin.qc. I use this to help me make a timeline of one of my projects. So this would be a great project spread if you wanted to like plan out when it is you want to do certain tasks or milestones in a project. So this is the calendar for my student worker, what his tasks are throughout the year, and so I'm just kind of doing a little bit of the mapping out for the whole year. You can do this with any project that you have. Yes, I've already started my task lists for like, remember to do this later. Summer 17, spring 17, fall, this fall. So again, notes over here and room for other key takeaways on the side. And here you see me try multiple times to do this teaching prep spread until I got it perfect over here. I kind of like this in terms of like categorizing different parts of a project. So if that is how your brain works, instead of doing a straight up list, I like having categories. And so I took a scratch sheet of paper and just brain dumped all the tasks that were related to this and put them in categories. My brain really works that way. You've probably seen it in some of my other spreads. Taking notes for stuff that I'm learning about. Again, more of the sketchnoting and then adding, tasks. I was trying to create a training session on this side, and so I just kind of did some brain-mind mapping on this side to get clarity on what it is I wanted my outline to look like. So using one side as a messy sheet in order to make a more finalized list than the other. So that you can see, like, you know, the project notes and stuff, it's nice to draw out because my brain is visual. I like to do that. And then when I have tasks in here, again, I just plop them into here. And having these two separate has been really nice because it means that I go through fewer inserts in my traveler's notebook cover, but still have a very robust log of my notes and my thoughts and plans. And it'll be nice to go back to later. I have only been doing this, and I haven't been doing this for that long, to be honest, and maybe a couple months, and I'm already on page 99 out of the 250. So I'm interested in seeing how long this will last me for, but I think because it's my busy season right now, there's a lot going on in here. That is my work bullet journal. You kind of got to see a peek into, you know, the rest of my life and how you can still stay true to that original bullet journal system, have an adaptation version to fit whatever your needs are. So I would love to hear about what you're doing in your work bullet journal. Maybe there's a spread that you have that would work well for me. You'll notice I didn't have very many like calendar spreads, so it's more task and project based because, again, all my stuff is in Google. Google owns me. It's a problem. But you won't find that in my bullet journal. Maybe you have some in yours. But I would love to hear more about some other ideas or spreads that you find useful, especially if you're in the higher ed space, and even if you're not. So let me know down below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share, whatever. I just hope that you enjoy it. Stick around and I'll show you my teaching setup next time. I'll see you later. Bye.